Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Module 4. You guys have done a fantastic job. So I'm recording this on Tuesday and just kind of wanted to take you as a review from where we've been. In Module 1, we studied the science of reading. We did an overview of the components of reading. In Module 2, we talked about readers with diverse needs. So we looked at students that were English second language learners, students that might have reading difficulties like dyslexia, and we talked about the accommodations that they might need. Now, you're going to need to go back to Module 2 because you're going to need to look at those accommodations in a lot of your assignments coming up. And then in Module 3, that you are just now finishing up, we look at language comprehension and oral language development. And that's where you wrote an interactive read aloud. And the reason you wrote an interactive read aloud is because an interactive read aloud is one of the best strategies that you can do to teach kids oral language development. And that is because the purpose of that interactive read aloud is we want kids to interact, to talk, and oral engagement. And the other part of that interactive read aloud is to post that micro teaching lesson. And that's where I want to see those strategies being implemented. Even though you don't have kids, I want to see those strategies being implemented. So, Module 4, we are going to be looking at emergent literacy. So, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about Module 4, what you're going to be doing. Then I have a few things I want to share with you about emergent literacy. So, for Module 4, I'm going to go under the Learn tab and talk to you about what you're going to be reading. Okay, so here's our reading here. So you have early literacy in your teaching reading resource. It has pages 71 to 158. Now, your teaching reading source book, this book right here, you're going to be using this book as more as what the title says, a source book. So you're really going to be kind of scanning this book and using it as a source book for the strategies that you're going to be using. So this is what I would say scanning it, okay? But the next part, multisensory teaching of basic language skills, that's what I really want you to carefully read that section. So that's your other textbook. That's going to give you the content that you need to understand early emergent literacy skills. So that's what you're going to read. There's a couple videos for you to watch that I have, and there are some supplemental resources. Now, these supplemental resources, although they are not required reading, they're pretty good resources. I've included them. The University of Florida Literacy Institute has a toolbox, has some really great resources for early literacy. There's a phonemic awareness skills developmental toolbox. And this shows you, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to come back to this, but this tells you what kids should be doing for phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. So I'm going to go back and now let's talk about what you're going to be doing, the assignments that you're going to be doing for this module. So let's go to Module 4, Emergent Literacy. For your Read, Connect, and Respond, here is a 4-minute video clip of a little girl named Ellie. You're just going to click that on and you're going to watch the video clip. You're also going to, of course, read the assigned chapters and use that learning to tell me explain what you know about this child's emergent literacy skills given what you observed. So what emergent literacy skills is this child using? Explain that. What does she know? What are maybe some things that she's still developing? Okay, that's what you'll do for your Read Connect. So you'll just click on that and that will take you to the video of Ellie. Okay. Now let's spend a little bit of time talking about two other of your assignments. Um, you are going to be creating a notebook, and that notebook is going to include 30 different strategies. In this module, you're going to be doing 10 of those strategies. So you're going to develop 5 strategies for phonemic awareness and 5 strategies for phonological awareness. You do not have to create these strategies. These strategies are going to come from, you can use this book, or you can use any other book that you have, any other resource, but it needs to be a research-based um, um, strategy. Teachers Pay Teacher, Pinterest, those I would not consider research-based strategies. So you use a strategy, you can use this book or another website as long as it's research-based. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to name the strategy, number 1. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to, I'm looking at my textbook, 149, odd one out. That's the name of the strategy. How does a strategy contribute to reading growth? This particular strategy is for phonemic awareness. I'm going to explain the difference between phonemic awareness and phonological awareness in a second. So you would explain, how does this contribute to phonemic awareness? Step 3, explain in detail the steps to implement the strategy. So you're going to have to summarize what is stated in the book and state that in step-by-step sequence. This is where it comes all from you. How can a strategy be adapted for English second language learners? This is where you need to go back to Module 2, look at some of those strategies. If you have English second language learners, how are you going to adapt this strategy for those students? How can the strategy be adapted for students that might have dyslexia or other reading difficulties? Again, you're going to go back, you're going to look, how can I adapt the strategy? So I realize that you can find the strategies. What I really want you to think about is the adaptation of the strategies. How are you going to adapt the strategy? So there's a rubric for this. Here it is. And you go to it. And so what I will be looking for is that you have 5 research-based strategies that align with phonemic awareness. The other one should align with phonological awareness. You have the step-by-step instructions, and the accommodations are appropriate for ESOL and for students with exceptionalities. We'll, of course, be looking for grammar also. Make sure that you cite your work. So wherever it comes from, make sure you cite it, because if you don't, it's going to show up as being plagiarized. So make sure that wherever you get the source from, that you cite it. So let's now talk a little bit about the difference between phonemic awareness and phonological awareness. So phonological awareness, I'm going to try to blow this up so you can see the difference. Phonological awareness is the big umbrella. It's the big picture. Phonological awareness consists of the following. It consists of things like words in the sentence, onset and rhyme, students knowing alliteration. Let me show you another picture that might help a little bit more. Let's talk first about, I think this is a better graphic. When children first start learning to read and they look at oral language, phonological awareness includes things like oral rhymes and alliteration. This is why we do a lot of nursery rhymes. Students need to know about rhymes. Alliteration is going to be the lazy lizard lays on the lily pad. You hear all the L sounds. Students need to know that a sentence is made up of words. So our early readers need to know if I said, go to the door, that is go to the door, that sentence is made up of 4 words. That's why that one-to-one correspondence is so important. They need to know that words are made up of syllables, onset and rhyme. I'm sorry, syllables, and then you get into onset and rhyme, where if you had the word, that's when we're breaking up a word into the rhyming parts, onset and rhyme. And then lastly, we get into individual phonemes. That's the individual sounds. So if I said the word bat, children need to know that that has 3 phonemes: b, a, t. If I said the word way, what is the way home? That has 3 letters, doesn't it? But it only has 2 phonemes: w, a, way, 2 phonemes. So what you're going to do is you need 5 strategies for phonological awareness. It could be any of these, and 5 strategies for phonemic awareness, where kids learn how to blend, segment phonemes. If you are struggling with the difference between those two, you can come and talk to me, or we can have an individual meeting. So again, I'm going to show you here. We start with oral rhymes and alliteration, where students, my cat wears a hat, where students know that cat and hat, they rhyme. We know that words in a spoken sentence, I have a cat, I have a cat. That's 4 words. Syllables in a spoken word, cat, 1 syllable. Then we have onset and rhyme, k, at. Bat would have b, at. Sorry, it's asking me if I'm still on the call. I'm still here. And then the phonemes is k, at. So we're breaking it even further apart. So this PowerPoint is in the supplemental materials. So phonemic awareness is understanding that spoken words are made up of individual sounds called phonemes. And children have to know phonemic awareness because they have to be able to manipulate those individual sounds and blend them together. So I want to show you a really great strategy to use for phonemic awareness. And it's using an Elkonin box. So here's an Elkonin box, real simple to make. I got a box, I got some cardstock from the Dollar Tree, and I made these boxes. Now, normally you can use some different things. You could use Play-Doh, you could use checkers, whatever. I literally had laying around on my desk Hershey Kisses. I wouldn't use Kisses, but I just happened to have them on my desk. So let's say that you were going to say the word bat. You're first going to have the what I would have the kids do is tap the sounds. So let's tap the sounds for bat. B, a, t. Tap it again. B, a, t. And then the kids are going to put a marker down for the different phonemes. And you're going to go from left to right, just like you read. B, a, t, bat. Then you can do activities where you can say, now I want you to point to the a sound. So they would point to the middle sound. Now let's do the example that I said before, way. I want to know my way home. We're going to tap the sounds. W, a. W, a. Notice I put 1 marker for AY, and that's because AY makes 1 sound. It's 1 phoneme, although it's made up of 2 graphemes, 2 letters. W, a. Because later on, when you teach them phonics, you're going to be teaching them that A is represented by many different graphemes. AY is one way that it's made up. So Elkonin box is a great strategy that you can use for children. So that's just one strategy among a lot of strategies that you're going to be using for emergent literacy. But I can't say enough about phonemic awareness. I mean, about Elkonin boxes. I would highly recommend using them. Want to come back to this paper. This is under supplemental materials. This is something that you can use. So the Alconin boxes that I was telling you about, this gives you a lot of different words that you can use and sentences. You could even use this for a sentence for your even preschoolers or kids that do not know sentences. You could say, for example, it gives the word I can jump. Kids could put I can jump to represent the number of words in a sentence. And then it down here, it gives you, you could even do syllables too. If you said the word postcard, you could have them put something on here for the number of syllables in a word. So you could do words, you could do syllables, you could do onset and rhyme, at. They could put a chip for at for the onset and the rhyme. And then you could also do it for the individual phoneme. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do that for the to represent these. So this is a great tool because it already has the words in it. It has what we call word chains. And once we get into the unit on phonics, we'll go into more with the word chains. But one thing I just wanted you to remember is that phonological awareness is all about sounds. So you'll notice when I used these, I didn't have the kids write the grapheme or the letter because phonemic awareness is about the sounds. So before we get into you can do it at the same time. You can teach phonological awareness and phonics at the same time, but I want you to distinguish the difference. Phonological awareness is all about hearing. So many of you, maybe you watch Sesame Street, or when my kids were younger, they watched Electric Company, and we would do things like we would sing songs like at, bat, at, hat. That's all phonological awareness. It's hearing the sounds. And that's all very important as kids are learning to read because once they see the grapheme, they put that together. So that's what we're going to be doing in Module 4. You'll do 5 strategies for phonological awareness, 5 strategies for phonemic awareness, and what's really important, make sure you explain how those strategies can be accommodated for ESOL learners and students that maybe have dyslexia or other severe reading difficulties. Go back to Module 2 and look that up. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to turn my presenting off. If you need to have any individual meetings or anything, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.